Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com, setting the record straight about history. I wasn't planning on making a video on this topic, but I had an interesting conversation with someone on Twitter this afternoon. The National Rifle Association tweeted, "Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have both voiced support for a government-mandated buyback, code for confiscation, of AR-15s and other commonly owned semi-automatic rifles. What could possibly go wrong with trying to confiscate tens of millions of rifles from people who believe that the government is in violation of the Second Amendment?" So I tweeted back, "Democrats say the police are trigger-happy, murderous racists, and they also say that only the police should be armed." And I included this poster. "I saw a movie once where only the police and military had guns. It was called Schindler's List." The idea being that the German National Socialists were able to commit genocide because the citizenry was disarmed. So someone named Smalley responded to me, "Oh, have you studied Europe at all? There isn't a country in Europe that allows guns, but there are many that the police bear arms. Ever heard of a Euro cop gunning down a person because they walked around with an assault rifle?" Well, I always thought that Germany was in Europe. Perhaps I'm mistaken. So I responded back to Smalley, "I'm a Jew. Europeans killed 6 million of my relatives after confiscating their guns. Europeans have an impressive history of genocide, and normally Americans have to come put an end to it. Perhaps you should study Europe's history." And I included this New York Times article from November 9th, 1938. The Berlin police president, Count Wolf Heinrich von Helldorf, announced that as a result of police activity in the last few weeks, the entire Jewish population of Berlin had been disarmed with the confiscation of 2,569 hand weapons, 1,702 firearms, and 20,000 rounds of ammunition. Note the date of this article, November 9th, 1938. Now let's look at what happened later that day. A major turning point in Nazi policy towards Jews was the coordinated attacks by the SA against Jews and Jewish institutions and businesses throughout Germany and Austria on November 9th and 10th, 1938, the night of the broken glass. So immediately after the German National Socialists disarmed the Jews, they began the Holocaust. Now let's look at the last sentence. Over 900 synagogues and 7,000 Jewish businesses were severely damaged or destroyed. Imagine that. Brown shirts went around and destroyed businesses. Just like what's going on in America right now. But I'll get to that in a minute. Let's go back to discussing Germany in the 1930s. It's not a coincidence that the Holocaust began immediately after the Jews were disarmed. So Smalley responded back, "Your Second Amendment is the right to bear arms signed over 200 years ago when guns were no more than a single bullet. Times have changed, so has weaponry. No sane person has to understand a country to know that it's outdated." The first problem with his argument is that it isn't true. There was a form of machine gun available as early as 1718. But that's just a distraction. The whole point of the Second Amendment was to defend against tyranny. If a tyrannical government has much better weaponry than the citizenry, the balance of power is lost. So why does the government want to ban semi-automatic rifles? Because they know you won't get into the boxcars willingly. This may sound a little extreme. People always believe that it can't happen here, and people certainly believed in Germany that it couldn't happen there either. But it did. Human history is full of genocides, hundreds of millions killed in the last century. Western countries are going through the most tyrannical period in their nation's history right now. Governments have taken away almost every single freedom over a virus which kills 1 person out of 10,000 around the world. Australia disarmed their citizenry a while back. Let's see how that's working out for them.
She's in pain. She's afraid. She says she's
I'm
afraid.
dealing with you now. I need
Okay.
to confirm your identification.
I don't have my ID.
Well, then where is it?
It's in my mom's car.
You don't have a wallet here?
No, I
Where's
don't
your
have.
mom's car?
It's close by.
No. You need to talk to me, okay? The reason we're arresting your mum and we're going to arrest you is because we can't confirm.
I was walking by. I was walking by.
Then how come she's told you that you're her daughter?
Yeah, she's my mom. I know.
Okay. This is serious. You need to talk to me. Where's your ID? Because you're going to be arrested if
It's
I
in my
can't.
mom's car.
Where's your mum's car?
There.
It's where? Over here. Is it walking distance away?
I don't know. Maybe yes.
You need to take this seriously because you won't be arrested if I can confirm your ID. Do you hear me? You won't be arrested if I can confirm your ID. Tell me how.
I'm not doing anything wrong.
Yes, you are doing something wrong. You're out in contravention of the COVID restrictions, alright?
But I'm walking.
Okay, alright.
It's allowed.
I still need to confirm your ID and you're going to be under arrest.
I'm not breaking the law.
No, I believe you are, so I need to confirm your ID. How am I going to do that? No, you tell me. You're the one being a smart ass about this.
Now let's listen to what the McCloskeys have to say, who defended their home from BLM terrorists with semi-automatic rifles.
Good evening, America. We are Mark and Patty McCloskey. We're speaking to you tonight from St. Louis, Missouri, where just weeks ago you may have seen us defending our home as a mob of protesters descended on our neighborhood.
America is such a great country that not only do you have the right to own a gun and use it to defend yourself, but thousands of Americans will offer you free advice on how to use it. At least that's what we experienced. What you saw happen to us could just as easily happen to any of you who are watching from quiet neighborhoods around our country. And that's what we want to speak to you about tonight.
That's exactly right. Whether it's the defunding of police, ending cash bail so criminals can be released back out on the streets the same day to riot again, or encouraging anarchy and chaos on our streets. It seems as if the Democrats no longer view the government's job as protecting honest citizens from criminals, but rather protecting criminals from honest citizens. Not a single person in the out-of-control mob you saw at our house was charged with a crime. But you know who was? We were. They've actually charged us with felonies for daring to defend our home. On top of that, consider this. The Marxist liberal activist leading the mob to our neighborhood stood outside our home with a bullhorn screaming, "You can't stop the revolution." Just weeks later, that same Marxist activist won the Democrat nomination to hold a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. In the city of St. Louis, that's the same as winning the general election. That Marxist revolutionary is now going to be the Congresswoman from the 1st District of Missouri. These radicals are not content with marching in the streets. They want to walk the halls of Congress. They want to take over. They want power. This is Joe Biden's party. These are the people who will be in charge of your future and the future of your children.
They're not satisfied with spreading the chaos and violence into our communities. They want to abolish the suburbs altogether by ending single-family home zoning. This forced rezoning would bring crime, lawlessness, and low-quality apartments into now thriving suburban neighborhoods. President Trump smartly ended this government overreach, but Joe Biden wants to bring it back. These are the policies that are coming to a neighborhood near you. So make no mistake, no matter where you live, your family will not be safe in the radical Democrats' America.
At this moment in history, if you stand up for yourself and for the values our country was founded on, the mob, spurred on by their allies in the media, will try to destroy you. You've seen us on your TV screens and Twitter feeds. You know that we're not the kind of people who back down. Thankfully, neither is Donald Trump. President Trump will defend the God-given right of every American to protect their homes and their families. But more than that, Trump's vision for America is a country where you have an opportunity to work hard and build the life you dream of, with a job you love, with your children being educated in great schools, in a community where your family can play in the backyard without fear, worship in a church without shame, and express your beliefs without retribution. Trump brought us the greatest economy our country had ever seen. The Democrats have brought us nothing but destruction.
When we don't have basic safety and security in our communities, we'll never be free to build a brighter future for ourselves, for our children, or for our country. That's what's at stake in this election, and that's why we must re-elect Donald Trump. God bless you. God bless the President.
And God bless these United States.
Thomas Jefferson said, "What country can preserve its liberties if their rulers are not warned from time to time that their people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms." One of my favorite movies was the movie Defiance from 2008. It's a true story which took place in Belarus during 1941. That's where many of my relatives come from. Some brothers were able to obtain a few rifles and then led hundreds of Jews to safety away from the German National Socialists.
A famous explorer once said that the extraordinary is in what we do, not who we are.
For everyone who leaves, they kill 20. How can I sacrifice thousands for the sake of a few?
What if we take you all?
This is the one place in all of Belarus where a Jew can be free.
In our darkest moments, when life flashes before us, we find something. Something that keeps us going.
Nothing is impossible! What we all have done is impossible! Everybody gets to say.
We have to be able to move to here.
The Talmud says, if you save a life, you must take responsibility for it.
And they spread the rumors that you're no longer fit to lead us.
Maybe they're right.
Tuvia, do we stay or go?
We cannot make mistakes, Tuvia.
Every day of freedom is like an act of faith. Our revenge is to live.
Perhaps you have room for one more.
Anyone trying to use Europe as an example of a safe place where they disarmed the people really needs to learn some history themselves. Toto loves to teach history. You can visit him on the web at realclimatescience.com.